connecting neighborhoods across the Treasure and Magic Valleys, telling stories from within our communities. This is Good Morning Idaho.
Good morning, Idaho. Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm senior reporter Roland Barris. It's good to have you along this morning. We've got a lot to get to in this next hour from our large team of neighborhood reporters. They're out there bringing you stories with impact, like our Don Nelson, who's following up on the proposal to sell millions of acres of public lands, a plan that is now being reworked after bipartisan criticism. Plus, a story new this morning, our Alexander Huddleston in Emmett highlighting Gem County residents who've been pushing for compensation for 1950s nuclear fallout and are now excluded from a key bill with time running out. We're going to have the details on all that coming up. But first, let's get the latest on our weather with Sophia Cruz. It's a beautiful morning out there. You were at Jitters the other day. That looked gorgeous. That looked fantastic.
That place is so good. And the owner, Lexi, her middle name is Jane, too. Yeah. So it's Jane by Jitters, and it's woman-owned. She's a very young woman, and she started her own coffee business. So if you want to check it out, it's downtown. And I would recommend getting the banana bread latte. It was delicious. Either way, this morning, if you're heading out for your coffee, you've got those clouds increasing from the southwest. It's not going to do too much for us this morning, but it is going to bring us a few isolated showers and a little bit of shade, so it may feel a little cooler out there. Temperatures are sitting in those mid-60s. That sun is starting to come up. It's a nice, wonderful start to our morning together. Now, if you're wondering what this afternoon is going to look like, we will see that sunshine as we head into lunchtime. Temperatures then sitting in those 80s. We're going to be topping out in those upper 80s, some spots even reaching those 90s. And again, Roland, this is going to feel a lot nicer than what we'll see next week.
Oh, I know. With the 4th of July, everyone, be careful of fireworks. I know they're for sale everywhere right now, but you want to be very, very careful because, boy, it's going to be dry. Thanks, Sophia. We start this morning with disturbing news overnight that a longtime Idaho coach and teacher was arrested under suspicion of underage sex crimes. This is what we know. A former Caldwell High School teacher and football coach is now behind bars accused of sexually abusing a child. Nampa police arrested 59-year-old Kip Crofts on charges of sexual abuse of a child under 16, which is a felony punishable by up to 25 years in prison. According to a Facebook post from Caldwell School District, Crofts became the head varsity football coach at Caldwell High School in 2023, and he had over 30 years of coaching experience and nearly 30 years as a teacher. He also played football for Boise State. Last night, Crofts was listed on the Caldwell School District's website, but was removed overnight. We've reached out to school officials and the Nampa Police Department for more information.
For Idaho News 6, I'm senior reporter Don Nelson. Utah Senator Mike Lee has backtracked on his plan to sell millions of acres of federal land in 11 western states, including Idaho. A Senate parliamentarian said you can't do it. What does that mean for the future of his plan? After receiving criticism from both sides of the aisle, Senator Lee has offered revisions to a controversial proposal to sell millions of acres of public land. This after the Senate parliamentarian said his original proposal violates Senate rules.
The Senate parliamentarian in the United States Senate or in the legislature of the state of Idaho is someone who is empowered to observe upon, interpret, and rule upon procedures and processes which the Senate is using or proposing to use as to their appropriateness, their fairness, and their compliance with rules.
It's all part of a workaround for passing legislation that lawmakers have been leaning on lately. Former Idaho Attorney General David Leroy explains.
There's a separate process called budget reconciliation where they can go straight to a 51-person vote without having to require a supermajority of 60 votes to consider that bill, but only if a budget reconciliation bill deals with fiscal matters only and not new topics, not substantive legislation.
Basically, in these deeply divided times, lawmakers use a loophole to pass legislation with a slimmer majority and avoid the filibuster. But Senator Lee isn't done trying to sell off public land. He's working on a revision that would limit BLM land sales to property within 5 miles of a population center. In Boise, that's one of the area's local leaders like Mayor Lauren McLean are concerned about. 5 miles would cover a lot of the foothills. Alex Mayer, with a Washington state-based rec tech company called On Water, is also concerned there could be water flow disruptions even in that 5-mile area. I asked him specifically about the Boise foothills.
So it could directly affect
property that I'm looking at right now, correct?
That is absolutely correct, Don. The thing that a lot of folks don't understand is that a lot of municipalities rely on the foothills that serve their water sources and serve the recreation that they all enjoy.
I was curious what Idaho Republican leaders thought about the idea. House Speaker Mike Moyle sent me this, quote, "We believe God blessed America with the richest bounty in the world, and Idaho was endowed with its own land and resources not to be hoarded by Washington, but cared for by the people who live closest to it. Our public lands are part of our inheritance. They're meant for our use, our stewardship, and our children's future, not for federal control and not to be sold off to private interests." Lee originally said the proposed public land sale was a way to increase public housing opportunities. He says he wants to protect farmers, ranchers, and recreational users. We'll pay close attention. Reporting from the Boise foothills, I'm senior reporter Don Nelson, Idaho News 6.
The search for the two missing Idaho teens connected to the extremist FLDS church continues this morning, but now with the help of a national nonprofit. The Uvalde Foundation for Kids announced Wednesday that it's launching a multi-state effort to locate the teens and offering a $5,000 reward for their safe return. As we reported, 15-year-old Rochelle Fisher and 13-year-old Alan Fisher were last seen on June 22nd in Montview, Idaho, when their mother left for Bible study. The teens were missing when she returned that evening. Police suspected their estranged 18-year-old sister took them to an FLDS group in Utah. The FLDS Church has been involved in a number of illegal activities, including child marriages, human trafficking, and child sexual abuse.
For years, thousands have pushed and advocated for compensation for individuals who were affected by nuclear fallout from government bomb testing sites in the 1950s, with Jim County residents being one of the biggest populations impacted. I'm your MNA reporter Alexander Huddleston, and I speak with a few locals after Idaho was stripped from the most recent proposed bill for compensation.
Growing up here, that if you didn't die from a car accident, then you died from cancer. This is called the Valley of Plenty, and now it seems more like the Valley of Death.
Nearly 80 years after the U.S. began testing its nuclear bombs in southern Nevada, thousands are still suffering the effects of nuclear fallout.
It was very top secret. Nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew what radiation was to speak of. Nobody knew what fallout was.
If you've been in Idaho or your family's been in Idaho since the 50s and 60s, you will have cancer in your family.
The Idaho Downwinders have been advocating for compensation for the hundreds of thousands who were impacted by those government projects. In 1990, the government approved the Radio Exposure Compensation Act, or RECA.
In order to get the $50,000, you have to have had one of 19 acceptable types of cancer, and then you have to prove that you lived in a compensated county for 2 years.
Eltona Henderson has seen dozens of her family members battle cancer.
46 now that my niece has cancer.
Over the last few years, Henderson has worked with Idaho Senators Jim Risch and Mike Crapo to rework legislation to make it easier for people to claim compensation. The bill proposed offered folks $100,000, capping the total payout at $5 billion. But now the language in this legislation has been changed by Missouri Senator Josh Hawley and Utah Senator Mike Lee, including more states in the compensation, but Idaho was removed altogether. A statement from Senator Risch says while Idaho Downwinders are still left out, he is actively fighting to ensure that affected Idahoans receive due recognition and are included in the program. But time is running out as President Trump is wanting the legislation on his desk by July 4th. Michelle Chadwick, who lost her husband Danny to multiple different cancers last year, says she is keeping hope alive.
The only way that we're going to get this through is to have a call to action and to have the president understand that this is what the government has done to our mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters and children. We need to keep saying their names and we need to keep crying those tears because they're worth it. And it's sad that the government didn't think that they were.
I reached out to Senator Hawley for comment on the removal, but have yet to hear back. I am your MNA reporter Alexander Huddleston for Idaho News 6.
After the break, we're looking at the far-reaching impacts of ICE deportations on farms, an impact that you may soon feel at the grocery store. All righty, everybody, we are back on a Thursday morning. It's 12 minutes past the hour. Let's take a look at your national headlines today. President Trump is peddling his sweeping domestic policy bill at a White House event this afternoon. GOP leaders hope the Senate will pass the plan this week and send it back to the House. The Democrats, of course, oppose the bill's cuts to Medicaid and other programs, and a few Republicans as well have said they have concerns. Some dislike that the Senate plan cuts Medicaid more deeply than the House version. A fragile ceasefire is in place between Israel and Iran this morning. President Trump announced that the U.S. and Iranian officials will meet next week, sparking cautious optimism for a longer-term peace deal. The ceasefire took hold on Tuesday. By the way, we should say that Iran has not acknowledged any talks taking place next week, and there have been conflicting reports over how much damage was actually done to Iran's nuclear program from the recent strike by U.S. B-2 bombers. And European Union leaders are meeting in Brussels to address global issues. They plan to discuss tougher sanctions on Russia, U.S. trade tariffs, and the Middle East conflicts. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will join via video conference as the EU debates further sanctions and a Russian oil price cap. All right, turning now to the issue of immigration. The Trump administration has been sending mixed signals on targeting farm workers in the mass deportations by ICE recently. ABC's Alex Stone takes a closer look at how raids on farms could affect Americans across the country.
Protests erupting across the country. Demonstrations against the recent immigration and enforcement raids agents are conducting, including at workplaces, after President Trump ordered a pause on industries that largely depend on undocumented workers, like at farms, hotels, and restaurants.
Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great.
The administration is now forging ahead.
We're going to continue doing worksite enforcement operations, even on farms and hotels, but based on a prioritized basis. Criminals come first.
President of the United Farm Workers, Teresa Romero, tells ABC News farm workers remember President Trump calling them essential workers during the pandemic. But now things have changed.
We all know they're essential workers. We need this workforce there. But I hear often from farm workers that he treats them as if they were disposable.
Earlier this month, video showing ICE agents chasing a farm worker through strawberry fields just north of Los Angeles. Senior Director of Policy Advocacy for the California Farm Bureau, Brian Little, says some farm workers are now staying home.
If you're harvesting strawberries in Ventura County and only 25% of your workforce shows up, you're going to fall behind.
Little tells ABC if deportations continue, Americans may see higher prices on strawberries and other items at the grocery store.
If people were upset about eggs being expensive last fall, I don't imagine they'll be any happier about an $8 clamshell of strawberries.
The impact potentially nationwide.
About a third of fresh fruits and vegetables that are consumed in the United States are grown in California.
It is going to take us to the point that food that we consume is going to be very expensive.
The Department of Homeland Security reports about 42% of farm workers in the U.S. between 2020 and 2022 lacked legal status. Today, agricultural workers can apply for an H-2A visa, which is focused on filling employment gaps by hiring workers from other countries. But experts in the industry say the program is far from a solution to the labor shortage.
It's difficult, it's highly bureaucratic, and it's expensive to use. And that will have the effect over the long run of driving up food prices.
This H-2A visa is also temporary, only valid for up to 3 years. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
In Twin Falls, the city pool is gearing up for a full year of construction.
Sophia Cruz with the Idaho News 6 forecast.
Hey, good morning, everyone. 6:18 is your time, and I hope you're having a good start to the day. It's our Friday Eve or Thursday, whatever you like to call it. Yes, exactly. Ronnie's cheering, and everyone's excited for the weekend, especially because we know we have this nice time to enjoy before things start heating up. Take a look at next week. This goes all the way July 2nd through the 6th. Warmer than normal temperatures are expected, or I should even say hotter than normal. We are going to be above average. Temperatures this afternoon going to sit in those upper 80s, lower 90s, which isn't hot, but it's not the worst that we've seen it. If you're in our mountains, it's going to feel really good up there. You've got those nice comfortable mid-70s and 80s hanging out there. But I do want to talk about what we can expect over the next couple days. So we will be looking at an elevated risk for fire danger heading into Monday and Tuesday. The first thing that we're going to be looking at is our relative humidity values, which are expected to drop below 30%, which indicates very dry air near the surface. The second thing we're going to be looking at is our temperatures. We know next week we're getting hot, and generally those upper 90s and triple digits will aid in that fire danger, but also this and some strong gusty winds. Now, our winds necessarily aren't just going to be gusty next week, but we will look at some chances for some thunderstorms, and those outflow gusts could produce also that chance for wildfire. So again, all these combinations combined are really all those ingredients that we're looking at as we head into next Monday. As far as this weekend goes, temperatures will sit in those mid-80s through Saturday, but there's that hot, dry weather moving in. 100 degrees on Monday. If we don't reach 100 degrees onto Tuesday, we'll definitely reach those upper 90s. And as far as relief goes, we're going to be sitting with those mid to upper 90s stretching through next week. So buckle up for a very hot weekend ahead. Just to give you a clue of where our relative humidity values sit, into Monday, they drop well below that 30% mark. So taking a look, this is into our Monday afternoon, between 7 to 8%, some spots even sitting just about as little as 10. That's very, very dry air near the surface. We do see some relief overnight, but again, it's just that caution for wildfires, so make sure you have a way to get updates within the week ahead. Right now, what we're looking at is that ridge really starting to build over us into our weekend. As it does this is going to amplify over the Pacific Northwest. There are those high, dry thunderstorms that come in, and we see this really from this area that's right down just to our south. This upper level trough is going to slowly move in. That brings that lift in and for that moisture to come into our area, producing those dry thunderstorms, which overall could make for a messy Monday for us. So again, Monday is going to be that day where we look at that wildfire risk. So keep an eye out and also have a way to get updates. You're going to hear me say that a lot this morning. But upper 80s into your Saturday, those triple digits arrive into Monday, and it looks like Tuesday next week.
The Twin Falls City Pool is about to undergo some major changes, and by next summer will look like this. I'm your Twin Falls neighborhood reporter Joey Martin, finding out what neighbors think of the plans and what you can expect from construction.
We're really excited for this to start.
After more than 40 years of public service, the main building at the Twin Falls City Pool is getting a much-needed makeover.
We're going through all that pre-construction process right now to get that going, but here in a few months, as school starts, you'll start seeing some exciting changes to our facility.
That construction will include the complete remodel of the original pool building built back in the 1980s. With costly roof repairs and mounting HVAC and plumbing issues, the city felt it was time to start over and breathe new life into this highly used public facility.
And also, times change. When the facility was built, it was just a men's and women's locker room. There are more needs for our community just rather than that, whether it be ADA accessibility or family changing rooms. Our updates and our changes are going to address those needs for our community.
At a price tag of around $2 million, the new facility will feature upgraded locker rooms with private showers, family and unisex restrooms, ADA accessibility, a new lobby, and a multi-purpose room. I caught up with a few frequent pool users, and the consensus was unanimous. It's about time.
I think it's a good idea. It's a little tight inside of the building, and the bathrooms definitely need to be updated.
I think it's great. It's one of the main things that my kids like to do in the summer, and I think that the building itself could use a little TLC as well.
As for pool accessibility during construction, no need to cancel your swimming plans.
We're going to stay open during the entire construction process. So they'll get started here in August, September, and then as time goes on, they'll shift to working on our old lobby, our current lobby where we're at right now. And then once those sections are done, we'll be able to move into those areas and they can start renovating the current locker rooms and the different parts of the facility.
They expect construction to be wrapped up in the summer of 2026. Officials tell me that besides the obvious construction zone, the pool will remain open to the public the entire time, even when the bubble comes back. Reporting from the Twin Falls City Pool, I'm your neighborhood reporter Joey Martin, Idaho News 6.
In downtown Boise, a long-standing bookstore is starting a new chapter. The long-standing bookstore in downtown Boise is starting a new chapter. I'm your neighborhood reporter Jessica Davis at Rediscovered Books, and soon everything in this building will be moved to their new location in the Linen District.
There are not a lot of indie bookstores around Boise. There were at one time, and they've all kind of gone by the wayside.
But that's not the case for Rediscovered Books, which has been a downtown staple for 14 years. But now a big change is on the way.
It is Saturday. We will be closing our doors for 3 days to do a move on the 29th, 30th, and the 1st.
Rediscovered Books is relocating from their downtown location to the Linen District on West Grove Street. The new location will be about the same size, but with some exciting additions, including a 1,000 square foot event space and a parking lot.
We've done author events in this bookstore, but it involves the booksellers having to move bookshelves out of the way and having to reconfigure the bookstore. To have a dedicated event space opens up so many more possibilities to have larger events, to have events more frequently, and events that don't require people to move the bookcases in order for us to set up chairs.
Events coordinator and co-owner Rebecca Lieber-Gottberg says the move comes as their downtown lease ends, and the owners were ready to find a new home.
In my mind, you can buy a book anywhere. You can buy a book at the airport, you can buy a book at the grocery store. What you can't buy is the expertise of these amazing booksellers and people who love books and people who feel very passionately about books. And I mean, our biggest product is ourselves and our knowledge.
The last day you can shop at Rediscovered Books will be Saturday, June 28th, and they plan on having a soft opening at their West Grove location on July 2nd. I'm your neighborhood reporter Jessica Davis reporting for Idaho News 6.
All right, thanks for joining us this morning on Good Morning Idaho, everyone. Hope you're off to a great start. We've got a lot more in store in our last half hour since it is 6:27, and here's what's still to come from your neighborhood reporters.
In Boise, I'll show you inside this tiny home on wheels.
In Twin Falls, there's a rare chance to see exotic animals. Why the owners are asking for the community's support.
Now we'll look outside from the Treasure Valley Chevy Dealers Tower Cam.
Connecting neighborhoods across the Treasure and Magic Valleys, telling stories from within our communities. This is Good Morning Idaho.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Good Morning Idaho. It is 6:30. I'm senior reporter Roland Barris. Lots to get to in our last half hour this morning from our neighborhood reporters. Check out what Leslie Solis is highlighting. Idaho's critical need for infrastructure upgrades, with many of its 5,000 bridges reaching replacement age. What do we do about that? It's a big issue. And in this week's Love Your Neighborhood, our Sophia Cruz highlighting Jitters by Jane, a local woman-owned coffee shop in the heart of downtown Boise. Is doing big business. More on that coming up in just a bit. But first, let's get the latest on our weather with Sophia. And again, you would be doing something that is chilled this morning in terms of caffeine because it's that nice out this morning.
Yeah, it's really nice for some iced coffee or maybe some iced tea, whatever you like, or iced matcha. They also have matcha at Jitters by Jane. It's delicious. I recommend going to check it out and getting maybe even a banana bread cold brew. It was really good. Either way, if you're waking up for your coffee this morning, the one thing you'll notice if you're heading outside, you've got those clouds increasing from the southwest, producing a few light showers for our friends in eastern Oregon and into those west central mountains, but nothing really heavy or torrential coming down. Right now, what it looks like, it's already that cloudier start to the day. The sun's still coming up and temperatures still really nice and cool, sitting in those mid 60s. Enjoy that while it's here, because as we get ready for the afternoon, it is going to be a toasty one. Not the hottest that we've seen it, but still pretty toasty. By 12 o'clock, we'll be sitting in those 80s into 2 p.m., mid 80s, and then we'll tap out in those upper 80s again, Roland. But I feel like the good part of all this weather is that at least we get some sunshine. It's just whenever we head into those triple digits that everyone kind of just wants to close their eyes and not look at the forecast.
And it's coming up soon. Thanks, Sophia. Appreciate it. I know we have that in our full forecast a little bit later on. Turning now, though, to our local news now. It's an issue we've been following for a long time, housing in Idaho. It has become unaffordable in so many places, with recent reports stating that an individual in the Boise area needs to make almost 6 figures to afford a comfortable life. Our Brady Caskey highlights, though, one solution to Idaho's housing crisis.
Affordable housing is hard to come by in Boise right now, but a new program makes houses like this an option in our community. I'm your neighborhood reporter Brady Caskey, and this is a tiny home on wheels. I'm talking to the owner who calls this rolling house a home.
It took me about a year to design this house.
Minta Ray designed and built her dream home from scratch.
Literally by hand with graph paper. This is my kitchen.
It took her about 2 years to build. Its main feature is its lack of foundation because her 26-foot house sits on 6 wheels. Minta's main floor is about 218 square feet with 2 lofts that put the total size closer to 300.
I can sit up in here, I can't stand up.
She designed her dream house around the full-size kitchen, plus a bathroom, queen-size bed, and plenty of room for her cat Benji.
I think the hardest part is just finding a place to legally park it.
Minta was one of 6 participants in a Boise pilot program with Leap Housing, allowing her to temporarily live in her tiny home, which until recently was actually illegal.
The city has been exploring the possibility of legalizing tiny homes on wheels for some time. This is an idea that came out of deep community engagement.
Nikki Hellenkamp with the city of Boise says that idea is now a reality after the city council officially voted to allow tiny homes on wheels in Boise.
This is something relatively small that the city can look at its rules and say, are these rules really necessary?
Now, property owners like Marissa Venable can rent out yard space and host up to 2 tiny homes on wheels.
I kind of just had this big space back here and had nothing to do with it.
All she had to do was provide a safe place to park and access to utilities before Minta could move in.
I'm glad I did it. We're friends. She's great. I love her. She takes care of my cat. I take care of her cat.
Now, Minta and others in her living situation will have a place to call home in Boise, offering a tighter neighborhood connection compared to alternative options.
I really didn't want to live in an RV park. I want to be a neighbor. The place that I sleep is 200 square feet, but my actual community has to be a lot bigger because of this.
After the city council's vote takes effect, we may see more tiny homes on wheels like this around town. Reporting in Boise, I'm Brady Caskey for Idaho News 6.
Caldwell drivers will soon see crews out this week working on much-needed repairs to bridges like this. I'm your Caldwell neighborhood reporter Leslie Solis on Centennial Way Railroad Bridge, learning this is just the first of several projects planned across the valley. 2 bridges in Kane County are seeing upgrades this summer, but they won't be the last. The state of Idaho has almost 5,000 bridges. Many are reaching the 50-year mark, and in Kane County, some are even older.
Our oldest bridge, I believe, is 103 years old.
Chris Hopper from Highway District 4 tells me the 114 bridges in the district alone see about 250,000 vehicles every day. As bridges age, inspections are done every 1 to 4 years, often reveal damage, which is why drivers will soon see road closures for critical repairs on the Karcher and Centennial Way Railroad bridges.
We receive federal funding for bridges as well as state funding.
We expect to have to replace about 2 bridges a year to keep our inventory in good condition.
Hopper tells me replacing all Highway District 4 bridges would cost about $48 million, money that's simply not in the budget. So they are prioritizing bridges with load restrictions in the next 3 to 5 years. As for traffic enclosures, Hopper understands the frustration, but most bridges they maintain weren't designed for today's growing demand.
So as we see more traffic on the roadways, it's important to widen those out.
To learn more about upcoming closures and detours, visit our website, idahonews6.com. I'm your Caldwell neighborhood reporter Leslie Solis for Idaho News 6.
Commercial truck drivers in Idaho may need to brush up on their English language skills. Idaho State Police say they will now be strictly enforcing English proficiency requirements as part of routine inspections. The move comes after President Trump issued an executive order at the end of April saying it's essential that drivers have a strong command of English so they can read traffic signs and communicate. The president calling it a safety issue. It's not a new rule, but under Obama-era guidance, inspectors were encouraged to issue a citation. Now, under Trump's guidance, drivers who don't speak adequate English will be declared out of service, preventing them from driving. Authorities are asking for your help as they investigate a human-caused wildfire near a popular hot springs in eastern Oregon. The hot spring fire was detected in the early morning hours Tuesday near Snively Hot Springs. It burned more than 230 acres on the west side of Waihe Lake Road. If you have any information or if you witnessed the fire start, please call police. 6:37, it's time to take a look at what is happening in your neighborhood today. What's going on? Well, it's Thursday Thunder, and Boise Spectrum is the place to be. Tonight features Casio Dreams, a local 80s tribute band, and it's set to be an electrifying sonic spectacle. That's from 6 to 9 tonight. And if you go, you want to get there early, bring your chair, and prepare to dance like no one's watching. All right, in Boise, local artists and community members have come together to host tonight's Confluence Market at Hyde Park. You can expect vendors, live music, flash tattoos, and interactive booths offering things like aura and tarot card readings. That's going on from 6 to 10 tonight. It'll be a beautiful day for it. And in Meridian, the first 300 customers will enjoy a free bowl from Every Bowl Craft Superfood. That's from 5 to 8 tonight, and they say there's no catch. They'd love to see a photo of your Ever Bowl creation on socials and ask that you tag them in the pic.
In Twin Falls, there's a rare chance to see exotic animals. Why the owners are asking for the community's support. I'm visiting a Twin Falls attraction that's unlike anything else in the Magic Valley. I'm your Twin Falls neighborhood reporter Lorian Nettleton, and the Zoological Society offers a rare chance to see some exotic animals, but it's at risk of closing its doors, and it's asking for community support.
Here you go.
Bailey is turning 8
Nom, 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 nom.
and wanted to spend her birthday feeding some interesting animals.
I fed the birds and the fish and water turtles. I have fed the porcupine, which I want to do it again.
Since opening in September 2023, the Twin Falls Zoological Society has taken in over 100 exotic animal rescues.
Chinchillas, reptiles, snakes, turtles, and snakes.
Can they sense fear? They rarely ever bite, guys. A place where people of all ages can interact with animals up close.
We are the #1 zoo in town, and we're better than any other zoo within a 70-mile radius.
Sinaway Montoya from the Twin Falls Zoological Society tells me without adequate funding, all of this could be at risk.
We do need your support. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a zoo in Twin Falls, or in the Magic Valley area for that matter.
As business slows down for the summer, they're dealing with debts for utilities and staffing. So the business is restructuring, considering changes to fees for surrendered animals, and reconsidering whether they can keep offering school visits for free.
If we were too smitten with the idea of serving the community, that we didn't position ourselves to be viable financially when doing things like that.
Now the zoo hopes to raise $50,000 through a GoFundMe campaign to buy some time.
If we're able to meet the goal of $50,000 in the summer months, by the time we've restructured with what we've been made aware of, we will have met the objective of moving through the slow season with a better plan in place to, again, be more viable in the fall and then in spring next summer.
She wants more.
I'm your Twin Falls neighborhood reporter Lorian Nettleton, Idaho, News 6.
Rise and shine, Idaho. Beautiful start to our day and some nice coffee weather. It's going to be pretty hot this afternoon. If you're looking for a good place to go to, stay tuned for Love Your Neighborhood coming up.
News 6 Allergy Report is brought to you by Boise Valley Asthma and Allergy Clinic.
Your allergy count looks nice and low. You've got grass pine, and really that's it. So while it's been heating up, the good thing is that it's not too bad for our allergies. I'll continue to monitor this for you as we head into our allergy season together.
Love Your Neighborhood, brought to you by ICCU.
This week's Love Your Neighborhood is located right here in downtown Boise. Jitters by Jane, a woman-owned business right in the heart of the metro. I just got a banana bread latte, and you may have already seen these popping off on social media. You have to come here and try it, and also check out what she had to say.
Hi guys, welcome in. We've been here for a little over 2 years now, and I started taking TikTok more seriously like 6 months ago, and that's when it really started taking off for us. So the Julia Davis was a cold brew?
Yes.
We found this location through Facebook group chat, actually. The previous owner had reached out to me and been like, are you interested in taking over our space? Because I had been posting about wanting to open a coffee shop, and so the opportunity just kind of fell into my lap, and I knew it was time, and so we went for it. I've been in coffee since I was 16.
Okay.
So it was my first job, and I fell in love with the community, and I tried a couple other things, but it just wasn't my passion, and I learned that pretty early on.
Freak Alley with oat.
We have a bunch of different fun specialty drinks that really stick out that a lot of downtown shops don't offer, so it helps us stick out a little bit more, as well as our coffee is unique to us. It's a little more smooth.
For our favorites, our Harrison Boulevard is really popular. My personal favorite is the Ann Morrison, which just feels like a campfire drink. And the Boise Train Depot, because I love lavender, it's lavender honey. But a really popular one right now is the Julia Davis, which is like a banana bread latte. I'm putting in banana syrup, and then we're gonna do hazelnut. And then I'm gonna do a little bit of vanilla. And then we are gonna pull some shots. We're gonna wait for that to pull.
We have coffee flakes that are also really fun to get because you get to try out a couple different of our flavors or different roasts or whatever you want to do, but that one helps us stick out.
I got that bogus basin.
So I just have been supporting other local shops, and so all of our pastries are from local bakeries.
Here's that drink for you. Do you want a chocolate covered coffee bean?
The downtown community is amazing. Everyone down here is so much fun. All the businesses are super supportive. Everybody's been super welcoming, and which is so huge. You're not gonna learn any of the things until you do, and I'm still learning so much every day. Every day is new, and you're gonna learn as you go, so.
Sophia Cruz with the Idaho News 6 forecast.
Hey, good morning, everybody. 6:48 is your time, and Jitters by Jane is such a good spot to check out in downtown, especially if you're waking up and wanting a nice coffee this morning. If you don't get one this morning, maybe some iced coffee into the afternoon just as a nice little pick-me-up. Not going to be a time for hot coffee. Temperatures sitting in those upper 80s and lower 90s. You also have those mid-70s and lower 80s following in those mountains, so just going to make for a very comfortable day there. But again, we are heating up into next Monday and Tuesday, and with that, we're going to be looking at our chances for some wildfires and really just that elevated risk for them. The first thing that we're going to be talking about that we're looking into next week is our low relative humidity values, which is just a really good indicator of how dry or saturated our air is. When this drops below 30%, generally that means we have some pretty dry air near the surface. This combined with very hot weather, which we're expecting next week, those triple digits where we'll be sitting, but even towards those lower 90s, we could possibly see this. Combining that, and just a cherry on top really, gusty winds. Now we're not necessarily going to have a gusty week ahead of us, but we will look at some chance for some thunderstorms, which the outflow gusts could produce, again, with all these combinations combined, that chance for some fire danger. So again, make sure you have some ways to get updates, especially now that we are heading into our wildfire season together. Take a look at this. We've got those upper 80s into our Saturday, so you've got some time before that real heat builds in. You've got mid-90s into Sunday, and then those temperatures skyrocket into next week, with 100 degrees expected into Monday. If your area doesn't hit 100 in those valley floors, it certainly will be in those upper 90s, and that pattern kind of just stretches through our next week ahead. So again, prepare for a very hot week. That again combined with that very hot and dry air near the surface. Take a look at our relative humidity values. They drop and dip below 30%, almost hovering just a little between 7 to 8% area wide. So it's very, very dry air combined with hot conditions, which aren't the best ingredients that we really need. So again, make sure you do have a way to get updates. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but that's going to be really important heading into the next week. What we look at happen here is this ridge amplify over the Pacific Northwest. As it does, that brings us our increase in temperatures, but right off to really to our south and into California, they'll be looking at this Pacific low come in. And so what this does for us is it increases that mid-level moisture and brings in those clouds that we'll see, but also produce some high base thunderstorms. So again, those conditions combined could make for a very risky Monday for us. So again, just make sure you are staying up to date on weather wear as we head into the weekend and next week. We do still have time before we hit those triple digits, however. You've got upper 80s into Saturday, then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The hot weather begins with triple digits and upper 90s expected. Good news is we have a little time before them, but it is also our Thursday morning. If you're getting ready to head out, let's go take a look at your roads.
The Idaho News 6 traffic report is brought to you by Champion Windows.
6:51 is your time, and take a look at downtown. It's a nice, beautiful shot from our Grove camera. If you're waking up with us this morning or just tuning in, good morning to you. It's pretty quiet on the roads this morning. We haven't really seen too much happen. There's a little congestion as you start to approach I-84 and making your way near West Railroad Street, so do be aware of that. But other than that, Carter Road also looking at a little bit of buildup. Has been a quiet morning so far, so not really too many updates. If you're going from Caldwell into downtown, you've got just under 33 minutes.
In this morning's GMA First Look, impaled by a beach umbrella.
361, the umbrella's in the left armpit. Gonna need that bandsaw for sure down here.
New video showing a lifeguard rushed to the hospital in Asbury Park, New Jersey Wednesday after a beach umbrella went through her shoulder. Authorities say the female lifeguard, said to be a college student, was setting up the beach umbrella on a lifeguard stand when a gust of wind blew her backwards off her stand and the umbrella came down straight through her arm.
It went in right here, like I said, and then out the back this way, came out the back here. It was on a little bit of an angle. So
first responders rushing to the scene to apply first aid and keep the woman stable.
She was a trooper through the whole thing.
And coming up at 7 a.m., we'll hear how they were able to safely remove the pole from her arm and what you can do to properly secure a beach umbrella to keep you and your family safe. With your GMA First Look, I'm Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And we are starting to wrap things up on a Thursday morning. In case you missed it, here are some of the top stories that we've been following from our neighborhood reporters. Utah Senator Mike Lee has revised his plan to sell federal lands, but the new proposal could still impact Idaho, including the Boise foothills. We'll keep you posted. Also, Idaho downwinders, those dealing with the consequences of nuclear fallout back in the 50s, are outraged after hearing the bill they've worked with state senators to get on for compensation cuts Idaho citizens out. And affordable housing, hard to come by in Boise these days, but a new program making tiny homes on wheels a legal option for residents seeking unique and affordable housing arrangements. You can learn more about all these stories on our website, idahonews6.com.
Now, the Out the Door forecast, brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors.
6:56 is your time, and you have that nice cool start to your day. You've got 70s into 9 a.m. By lunchtime, we'll be touching towards those upper 70s. We will see those upper 80s and 90s returning to this afternoon, so it's still going to be a toasty one. You really just need the sunglasses, some good water, and just making sure that you're really taking shade breaks if you're spending some time outdoors this afternoon. If you want to read more about the forecast, you can head on over to idahonews6.com. Right now, we're going to go take a look at your roads.
The Idaho News 6 traffic report is brought to you by Champion Windows.
6:57 is now your time, and it's still nice and clear into downtown. The sun is shining, and it's going to be a good Thursday for you. If you're getting ready to head out on your roads right now, it's looking a little bit busier as you start to make your way onto I-84 eastbound. But again, that's always our hot spot every morning. We know that time can get up to near 40 minutes. If you're heading on to Jinden Boulevard, still looks really good right now. This stretch of road sitting at just under 13 minutes, and the rest of the area from Caldwell to Garrity building up just a bit. Garrity to Eagle just under 9 minutes, and Eagle into downtown Boise also coming in at under 7. Roland, yesterday, we have to pull this up now because I've been waiting to talk about this all morning. I got to meet Post Malone.
Right. When I go home like a good boy to go to sleep at 6 o'clock, you're out late with Post Malone.
Okay, I normally don't live my life like this, but my mentor was in town and he was like, come out for the weather conference. I did. And his name's Anthony. He might be watching right now, actually. And he was like, Post Malone is at the Grove. And I got up from my chair, ran all the way to the Grove, and we got to meet him. He is so kind. He took photos with everyone that was there. And in the back of my head, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm only one person away from Taylor Swift.
That is a great photo you got there. That's pretty cool. He was just hanging out, having a good time after the concert.
Yeah, just hanging out. He's very recognizable, so a lot of people were going up to him asking for photos and just talking to everybody, but he was so kind. He even gave all the yes ma'ams and no ma'ams. He's just how you think he would be online.
Right. You could think that he would get mobbed, but you can see he's not absolutely mobbed in that picture. That's nice to see. That's welcome to Idaho. It's a cool place to be, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow, everyone.